to Get Over It, the consciousness transforming podcast for exceptional 21st century living. We've got a show today on energy medicine. We're going to be speaking with Susana Stoica, and she's a PhD, and the name of her book, Healing with a Loving Heart, Discover the Power of Energy Healing. And folks, her book is a bit different than, say, Donna Eden's or some of the other ones out there. Equally as good, if not better, but very different and a different approach. And you will appreciate the approach as you listen to our podcast today, because, you know, sometimes everything just comes down to that S word, and we're going to get into that S word in a little bit. Now, the information shared on Get Over It uses intuitive and pragmatic insight to help you shift your consciousness to break through the blocks and release energy that is no longer needed. Yes, we're going to help you let go of the BS that is holding you back. But you guys know I always ask that question, are you truly ready to? And by the way, folks, BS is belief system. A bit about me for my new listeners: intuitive since birth. I'm a third generation intuitive with over 3 decades of experience supporting people to break through the blocks along their path. I'm a strategist for personal and professional transformation, revealing cutting edge information that enables you to prosper and thrive. I spent 25 successful years in corporate America as an executive sales professional, and I am the founder of Healing Visions Ministries and the Northern California Children's Education Network, a 501c3 nonprofit. I provide consultations and healings in all areas of life that heal the mind, body, spirit connection, allowing you to live your very best life. My clients tell me that I keep it real while providing them with accurate information to assist them along their journey as a spirit living a human existence. But they also say, if you really don't want to know, don't ask Monique. My background includes a doctorate in metaphysics, Reiki master teacher, ordained minister, and clinical hypnotherapist. So whether you are stressed, depressed, or possessed, I can help. To find out more about me and the services I offer, go to my website, and that's MoniqueChapman.com. And I invite you to like me on Facebook and follow me on LinkedIn. And folks, if you like the podcast, if you're enjoying it, please, help a girl out. Give me some stars, subscribe, both, whatever. I really would appreciate it. Now, my guest today, Dr. Susana Stoica, is a medical intuitive, energy healer, and best-selling author who often speaks on topics related to healing. As a healer by birth with a PhD in designing computers with brain cell-like circuits and an inventor who defined advanced technology, Susana's insights into the how and why of the human energy field are unique. She is a certified healing touch practitioner and certified hypnotherapist who works with people all over the world. And you can get more information about her by going to her website, and that's stoica.com, STOICA.com. Again, that's STOICA.com. Welcome, Susana.
Hi, nice to be in your show.
Thank you. I am so glad to have you here. As I was alluding to earlier, your book is so different with energy healing, and you really focus on, helping people relieve stress and getting into the crux of what started the stress. When did you start your healing? Because I know you had a really interesting day a while ago with 2 brain injuries in the same day.
Yes, I officially started healing in 1982 when I went for a course to learn how to help my husband with his back problems. Being a very proud person who didn't go to the doctors, he would end up 2-3 times a year with terrible back pains, and I felt really bad. So I had to do something, and I ended up first learning reflexology, and he couldn't take it. He was too ticklish.
No.
So I was back to the drawing board, and I found a book about healing method, which was related to Chinese healing, the 5 elements concept. And when I was at the course, I read the book and I learned everything that was in the book. But at the end of the book was saying you have to go and train with a knowledgeable professional before you start doing it, because you can get unexpected reactions. And later on, I found out that those unexpected reactions were if you release energy of anger too fast, people could beat you up. We had a few of those people who got beaten up. Anyway, so I went to the course, and when I was practicing what the teacher was telling us, my hands just took off. I couldn't stop them. I couldn't, I had no control over my hand, but it was so gentle, like an invisible hand was keeping my hands in place. And what was really interesting about the event is that I had some unexpected images that went through my mind while I was doing the healing. One was that I saw this gray smoke coming out of the person's lungs, and I knew that I had to throw at it unconditional love energy. And the other one, I saw myself floating inside a church, a very famous church that is protected by UNESCO, which has very tall stained glass windows and a very famous organ. And I could hear the music, which was, I am not musical by any means, so it was really unexpected. Plus, I am Jewish, so floating in this, and I consider myself non-religious. While I know that it's a force, has to be a force, which is described as God, I consider myself as non-religious. So this was out of the out of my realm of expectations. Plus, being an engineer, of course, compounded the problem. What was strange about it is that once my hands stopped moving by themselves, we went for lunch, and this lady I was working on told everyone at the table that she had a very bad flu, and after the bad flu, she couldn't breathe properly anymore. And the doctors tried to check her every which way and couldn't find any reason why she couldn't breathe. They tried all sorts of antibiotics and none worked. And here in 20 minutes, I was able to take away whatever it was wrong. And she was breathing perfectly. And she showed out that that she can breathe deeply. So that kind of scared me. And to add to the shock, when we were going back to class, she turned around and she says, you know, the strangest part of the whole thing was I had these images in my mind. And she repeated exactly what I was seeing while I was working on her, which was really, really unexpected. So it took me a while to figure out what it was. And I actually applied the healing when my son was diagnosed with a tumor on his adrenals. And the doctor sent us, his adrenal output was 100 times more than normal. We were sent for an X-ray, and we couldn't get immediately an appointment. So in the meantime, I told myself that if I was able to help that lady, I should be able to help my son. So I started doing the same thing. And sure enough, they couldn't find anything on the X-ray. And then the doctor repeated the same tests, and they were absolutely normal. And the doctor was just saying, I sent both tests to 2 different labs just to make sure. The original test and the second test, And I don't understand. This just doesn't happen. So finally, I told him what happened. And many years later, I was able to help somebody. I no longer lived in Minnesota. I had a client from Minnesota at that time, and I was able to refer her to this doctor, and the doctor, who was a very good doctor, and the doctor remembered me. So that was the start of my career, because after that, the doctor started sending me his impossible patients. And those are typically people who do not fit the definition of an illness. And most of them don't fit it because they have a combination of things, because they didn't take care of the original problem. And what happens when you have a problem and it becomes chronic, usually it affects more and more of your physical well-being. And it becomes so complex that it's very difficult to figure out what is the main problem. Luckily, as a healer, I can see what started the whole problem, and I can tell doctors what to do, what tests to do in order to find the original problem. And if you take care of the original problem, basically, it's much less expense, because you don't have to go through so many tests, much less time. And if you pull the rug with the original problem, the person gets well much faster.
Well, you say in your book that the mechanics of an illness, that 80 to 90% of it has emotional origins. Could you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that was one of my surprises. I, being an engineer, I expected that the physical is the dominant in our well-being. And as I was going year after year of doing healing and seeing more and more people, I found out to my surprise that actually some illnesses are 100% emotional. And it starts emotional, and it can be corrected only with emotional work. And fibromyalgia is one of those. And other are about 90% emotional, 10% physical. So if you don't fix the emotional, you have a high chance of recurrence of the illness. And cancer is one of those which, if you don't do the emotional work, if you don't make the necessary changes to your life, the rate of recurrence is much higher.
Now, is it possible, like say someone has cancer and say it's, the late stages, and they do the work, they figure out, the origins and all, can they actually reverse it? Or is it at some point, it's just too far gone?
Look, I had years ago a lady who had pancreatic cancer.
Oh, that's the worst.
She had it in her mind that if you take out, if she would be able to find somebody to take out the original tumor, because she had metastasis all over, then she will get well. And of course, everybody told her that doesn't work that way, because it's spread all over. But she insisted, so she went all over the country. She had a lot of money, so she finally convinced the doctor to do the surgery, and he accepted it with the provision that she had to sign a paper saying that she understands that her rate of survival of the surgery is only 40%. So 12 days before having this surgery, she came to me for help. And we did about 3 or I don't even remember exactly, 3 or 4 sessions with her healing, and also did emotional work. And one of what we found out, this wasn't her first cancer. I didn't know when she first came to me. She survived the first one, got well. She is a mom, so she wanted to survive for her kids. She had the motivation, but it came back. And we eventually found out that the reason she was so sick is that her mom never wanted her, and even tried to abort her. And the relationship with her mom was horrible because the mom didn't want her and treated her as such. And she listened, and she forgave her mom. She even wrote her mom a letter of forgiveness. And her mom, when she had the first cancer, came to help her and eventually left saying, "I hope you die."
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And she was a piece of work. Anyway, she didn't have a very good marriage, and it wasn't fair for the kid. Anyway, so this time when she wrote this letter to her mom was so impressed that she said, "I don't know what you are doing, but I am coming to help you." And it was a totally different relationship with her mom. And when she went for the surgery, actually all the metastasis was gone. And the original tumor was much smaller, and they were able to take it all out, and she survived and lived for many years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's possible. From my experience, it depends how motivated the person is to escape whatever the problem is.
Okay, so the motivation is important, but is it also equally important that they truly believe deep down that it'll work? Or no?
The two of them work together, because you can't be motivated and really work hard without having the conviction that it will work. At least allow for the possibility.
Okay. Right now, as we're going through, 2020, up until now, we've been dealing with COVID and all the tentacles from that. And now babies are coming out with this RSV virus. A baby is not going to necessarily have an emotional stressor, would it?
One moment, I have to drink some.
Yeah, no problem. Drink some water so that you can get rid of the cough. It happens for everybody from time to time, folks. So we're just going to let her recover. In the book, though, she talks about many different diseases that you can utilize her techniques for, like arthritis, autism. There's so many kids that have autism or on the Asperger's spectrum, even down to the blood pressure, bone fractures, constipation. So if you got that issue, she's got information here that will help you. She also talks about how to help somebody who's about to make their transition, someone who is dying. And when I looked at that, it was very profound for me, because one of my uncles just passed away. I've had a lot of deaths this year, but one of my uncles just passed away. And it was very comforting to understand a little bit more in depth as what's going on. And then, a lot of people are having kidney issues and liver issues. So this is deeper than a detox. This is deeper than, just doing some energy medicine with, perhaps moving the energy around. She really gets down to the core. Susana, is everything okay now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Actually, the reason I wrote the book is that in my way of approaching healing, I really want people to be independent of me. I don't want to keep people depending on having sessions with me. Rather, I want them to learn how to keep healthy. and correct whatever is in their lives that might induce less than a perfect well-being.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's really interesting. I just opened up the book to a page right now, and it's how to help yourself get pregnant, have an easy pregnancy, and a healthy baby. Now, I am far from that stage, but you know, there's women out there today, young women that are, you know, seeking to have children, especially since so many are delaying having childbirth until later years. But once they have that child and the child gets here, there's so many babies today with this RSV. What is going on with that? I don't understand how the baby can have an emotional, you know, faux pas, or is it coming from the mother? Or
It's coming from the mother, yes.
oh, wow.
Babies feel the emotions of the mother, absolutely. And they are much more sensitive than a grown person. Actually, kids perceive much more emotions and they are much more responsive to emotions than anything you tell them. That's why they pick up our behaviors much faster than what we tell them to do. So the way we behave around kids and during pregnancy is very, very important. I would urge all women who are pregnant to make sure that they eat right, because that will influence the rest of the life of the kid. To rest well, to enjoy life, to have a positive outlook, because I get a much more adjusted kid. And one of the things that I do is to work with the babies who are born immediately after birth and take out the birth trauma, because the birth trauma can cause later on problems. And it's very interesting. Every time I work with a baby, you know how the baby in the womb is kind of crunched over. And as soon as I start working, they relax and just open the hands and the feet, straighten up. And they sometimes I get a smile. And so easy to do.
Wow. Well, you know, when you were talking about that, it is important to, I think, work with the babies and for the pregnancy to be as easy as possible. Because my last kid, I was not necessarily happy during the pregnancy. I mean, I wanted the baby and all that, but, you know, life stressors just wasn't where I wanted them to be. And, you know, my kid came out stressed, and it was a difficult delivery. I mean, 21 hours hard labor. And then they said, okay, we're going to use the forceps. And I thought forceps were like salad forks. And when I saw these huge things,
exactly,
I was like, oh my God, that's horrible, you know? So the baby did have some stress from that. And I tried to heal it with the baby and heal myself from that stress, because it just like, whoa, it just bothered me. Now, in your book, you talk about 3 types of energy imbalance. Can you share that with us?
I don't know what you are referring to, honestly.
Okay, let me see if I can find it real fast, because I know it's on page 35, I think. The mechanics of an illness. And then with that, there is imbalances are generally generated unexpectedly by a traumatic event, one that is so deep that it destroys the energetic weave. And then you talk a little bit more in depth about that.
That is usually when you have a broken bone or so physical hit. That's when the shock, emotional shock. For example, if it's very interesting, if you have a broken bone, actually you have a broken energy field. It's you can see the break in the energy field. The other one, typical shock, is when somebody loses somebody very close. The weave of the heart energy is actually affected. And I work with that too. And when I reweave the energy field to its normal way, people are still mourning, but they are not desperately mourning, crying all the time. They miss the person, but it's not an overreaction, so to speak. So it's very, very soothing for a person in mourning. Usually, illnesses come because of emotional problems, if they are last a long time, or a shock. And either way, it can be treated. You can see these changes in the field before they manifest in the physical. And actually, it's very interesting that the determining factor is the energy field. It's not the physical. So it's like having the computer program to the computer hardware. And but it's more acts like a mold for like a metal mold. So it when the energy field changes, so it's stress, actually eventually influences the physical. And if you fix the energy field, the physical gets fixed too in time. And it depends, it's different speeds. Kids usually fix right away. They are very easy to change, probably because their frequency, energy field frequency, is much higher than adults.
Plus, they're more open, aren't they? I mean, they're more open.
Plus, they don't criticize. They don't say it's not possible and it won't work. And so it's very interesting, by the way, to experience a pregnant woman, because you feel the fetus as a much higher frequency and lower strength. So it's very gentle vibration versus adult's vibration, which is a strong, physically strong, slower vibration.
Okay. Let me ask this. Is it possible to overdo healing? Can we just have too much healing going on and cause damage to ourselves?
It is a certain amount of healing. One of the things that I find from time to time is that people who want to get healthy fast, and then they go to a healer, an acupuncturist, a massage therapist, another healer, another massage therapist. So they do a lot of stuff. They also go to a homeopath as well as a mainstream doctor, and no one knows about the rest. So everyone thinks that they are the only one working on the person. And that is extremely dangerous. Actually, I had one extreme case when the doctors, I worked at one point in a medical practice after my engineering hours. And they had this woman. They didn't know what to do with her because they were giving her stuff to take, and she ended up in a wheelchair. And whatever they did, she would be sicker and sicker and sicker. And they asked me to, she was at the point when she couldn't leave her house. So they asked me to go and see her and see what's going on, because she wanted to get well. And when I tested her, she literally had huge trays, 3 huge trays filled with bottles. And her husband made her take from each of those bottles every day. And it was so much that she couldn't eat properly anymore because it was too much stuff. And when I tested her, I couldn't even take away all the stuff at once because she would have gone into a shock. So I took off. I said, this time, only this quarter tray. You don't take, you don't need it actually. And when I was back, those things were replaced by others. And I asked what happened. And she said, my husband wants me to take as much supplements as before. So I told the doctors there is no hope because this man sees her wife getting worse and worse, and he's forcing her, basically killing her with kindness, so to speak. Actually, he wasn't a very kind man. He was really angry when I came to test the lady. So anyway, the other thing is that if, for example, a person is very sick, usually older people who are not as strong, and a healer is inexperienced and wants to take away all the toxicity, for example, from the system, or adjust everything, it can get a person in shock. Because it's too much change for the physical.
And then that just takes a downward spiral. What would be your words of wisdom for people who are struggling right now and they can't even figure out what their emotional component is that has caused them to be in a state of dis-ease?
I would go take a vacation and go away somewhere and get out from the environment they are in, because probably you can't do the same thing and expect to change things. So if if somebody goes away, and that doesn't mean they have to go to Europe or Cancun, they can just go away, visit a friend, get away from your environment, because you are bound to see much clearer what's going on with you. Plus, if you have a good friend who you are trusting, you can talk to the friend and ask for an honest feedback of what the friend is seeing.
Okay, well, that makes perfect sense. And you change your environment, you change the energy, most definitely. Now, when we go to your website, healingbraininjury.com or stoica.com, what are we going to find there?
A lot of information. If you go to the media page, you will find a lot of information, all sorts of links to interviews, articles that I wrote, lots of information about illnesses, how to get well, what to eat, how to behave to be healthy.
Okay. And I know you said you don't want people to become dependent on you, but are you taking on new clients at this particular time?
Not many. I am not spring chicken anymore.
Me neither.
if you judge from 40 years of officially doing healing. Actually, I started when I was 7 years old, I found out. But I am kind of starting to wind down, and I am more concerned right now with communicating my knowledge, because I accumulated so much knowledge, and working with the brain, it's something really unusual. It's not as common as you might think. When I had my brain injury, I was really surprised to find out that I couldn't find anyone to do what I am doing.
Yeah, well, I think it was meant for the universe, for you, for the information to come through you.
Yeah, I got a 2x4 twice a day.
Oh.
Wake up, that's your pass.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but I'm kind of the boulder girl. You know, they do the 2x4 and they shake that off. But once they drop that 1-ton boulder, I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I am kind of set in my ways in a way. While I am very creative, I'm also set in my ways as a true engineer. So I'm a very strange combination. So I need the 2x4 to change directions.
You know, I wish you a wonderful life without so many 2x4s, and that the energy comes to you more
Yes.
steadily. Oh my goodness. Well, Susana, it's been a pleasure having you on today. I greatly appreciate all the information that you have shared with the audience. And folks, the book is Healing with a Loving Heart: Discover the Power of Energy Healing. It's a different type of energy healing book. You will get a lot of value from it. And it causes you to think about your own health, your own mortality, and really dig down to what is causing your disease. So, Susana, thank you very much. To the audience, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time and attention. And please remember that the most important choice that you can make is what you choose to make important. Consider making the masterful choice of healing with a loving heart. Abundant blessings, light, and love to all. Agape.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.